Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Diligent Doc. Thanks for joining me again for another video. And I'm super excited about today's topic because it's something that I have been working on myself for the last several years. And that topic is something that everyone has heard of by now, and it's called minimalism. Before you think that I am someone who lives in a very stark, bare, boring, uninteresting type of home, just know that that's not what I am at all. I'm not a minimalist in the stereotypical way that you see all over Instagram or social media. I'm not trying to say you should reduce every single thing that you own or cut out all color and interest from your surroundings. You have to take minimalism in a way that it is suitable for how you want to live your life. And that can mean very many different things for different types of people. It just depends on what your specific goals are to thrive and reduce the mental stress and load of all the things that surround us and come at us all the time 24/7. If you're someone who's a maximalist, that's totally fine too. I know there's a whole range of people all in between. Some people like everything big, large, loud, lots of items, lots of decor and things like that, which is perfectly fine. But if you're thinking that these things that are cluttering your space are also starting to clutter your mental space, then it may be time to start thinking about whether focusing on a more minimal mindset and a minimal life will be helpful for you in where you're at right now. I want to cover 11 different ways that I have tried to incorporate a more minimalistic approach in my own life, and hopefully some of these will inspire you as well. So the first is pretty obvious, and that is to declutter your possessions very regularly. I have talked about this book in previous videos, Marie Kondo's The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And this is a book that really helped me focus on what are the things that I own, what are the things that I'm thinking about buying in the future, and are those things really what I want to make myself have a better life experience or a better existence. The number one place that I found that I could declutter the most was in my own closet. And this is an ongoing process. It's not something that's just once and done, so it can seem quite overwhelming to start the process of taking out all of your possessions, putting them on the floor, and sorting through each one. That can actually take quite a while. So if you're not ready to jump into something like that, that's really okay. I think it's a matter of trying to declutter on a regular basis. It might be weekly, it might be every other month, it might be every quarter, but just thinking about, okay, these are items that I really am not wearing anymore, or maybe they don't fit me anymore. Do I want to keep them? Why am I holding on to them? And trying to reduce and declutter along the way. What has really helped me to do this for myself is that I do have to do this process for my own kids. And anybody who has young kids will know that they grow out of their clothes rather quickly. And so you're always shuffling from one size to the next. And if you can pass them down to younger kids or pass them along to other people, that's a great idea. But you still have to sort through, okay, these things don't fit anymore, or these things are torn and let me get rid of them. While you're in the process of having to do that anyway for your kids, it's a good habit to start to do that for your own items of clothing. I find that whenever I do declutter my closet and get rid of most of what I'm not wearing anymore, I feel so much lighter and my mental space is a lot clearer. I actually just forced my husband to do this, and by that I mean when he was out of town, I went ahead and did it for him. So I took all of the clothes that he owned and I got rid of 6 or more big trash bags full that we donated because he just wasn't wearing them anymore. And remember, just because you may have a larger space or a larger closet, that doesn't mean you have to try to fill the space and every nook and cranny of that space. It is okay to have negative space around you, and it's okay to not worry about making everything look beautiful and aesthetic all the time. What is it that is going to bring you the most inner peace is what matters the most. The second thing that kind of goes along with the closet, with clothing items, shoes, accessories, is if you decide you're going to buy something new, think about one item that you can get rid of. So if there's one thing you bring in that's new, what is one old thing that you can then dispose of? So you're not just constantly getting more and more new things in your closet, but you're really taking the effort to say, okay, if I'm going to bring in something new, then I don't need something else that's in my closet anymore, and I can let go of that. So that's another way to try to help minimize the clutter in your closet without saying you can't buy anything new for yourself or you shouldn't buy anything new for yourself. That's not really the point. I like to buy new things for myself as far as clothing, but I'm not trying to revamp my entire wardrobe every time the season changes. You know, you want to buy things that are going to last a long time. If things are getting really overused and worn down, then of course it's time to buy something new and then try to see what you can get rid of that you don't need anymore. The third thing to incorporate into minimalism also has to do with wardrobe, but that is trying to figure out if you can create something like a capsule. A capsule is not something I have sat down and actually figured out for myself in a purposeful way. I have found that I tend to do a sort of capsule wardrobe when I go to work. I wear the same outfits every 1 to 2 weeks. I rotate them. There's not much variation in what I'm wearing, except for the fact that I might be wearing a sweater in the wintertime versus a lighter shirt in the summertime. And it reduces how much I think I need to buy, quote, work clothes or clothes for different occasions. The fourth way you can incorporate minimalism is your life is when it comes to digital items. So what that means is things like emails, photographs, videos on your phone, email receipts or reminders. Of course, you've seen those memes where there's two types of people, the one that has 0 new emails in their inbox and another one who has 4,000 emails in their inbox. And I am the former kind, and a habit that I have started to do that has helped me declutter my mental space as far as my digital clutter goes is to unsubscribe from email listservs that I don't really want or use. You know, if you go and buy something at a store online and you put your email in, they're going to start emailing you weekly or sometimes several times a day, which can be so annoying when you have to see those emails constantly coming in. I will pretty much immediately go and unsubscribe from those emails because there's no need to have those constantly taking up space and having to give my attention to them. And if I'm not getting bombarded with emails, then I'm not tempted to go on their website and see what they have on sale and try to buy something, because that's really what they're trying to do, is hook you into their marketing, reminding you very frequently, hey, this store exists, why don't you go check out the sales and buy something. It also goes for other emails that you might have, like newsletters, and if you're not really reading them, just unsubscribe. I mean, if you're not reading them anyway, there's no reason to keep having to divert some attention, even if it's 10 seconds of your day, to an unnecessary email where there's so many other things that you could be doing with your time. Another way to minimize your digital space is to clear out the apps that you're no longer using. They do free up space on your phone as well by doing this, so if you don't have the need for specific apps, it's perfectly fine to delete them. If you find that you no longer are interested in a specific podcast, you can unsubscribe from them. So there are so many ways that you can declutter digital clutter from your life. The sixth way is to prioritize quality rather than quantity. This can be applied to so many aspects of your life, whether that is the quality of the time that you're spending doing things or the quality of an item of clothing that you're buying or an accessory that you're buying. It's, in my opinion, better to spend a larger amount of money on something that's very high quality. So I had invested in this leather bag that I find to be very beautiful, very functional, wonderful for traveling. I did travel through London and Paris wearing this purse every single day, and it fit everything that I needed. It's very special to me because I chose it as a gift for myself. It has my initials on it. Really love this bag. And even though it's very minimal appearing, it doesn't have big flashy branding on it. Those are part of the reasons why I love this bag. And just a reminder that just because you may be bombarded with different brands and logos and things that people are pushing to you on social media, it doesn't mean that you have to go out and have those things too. Choose something that is a bit unique and different and something that not everybody else is walking around with. You will feel great in your decision for choosing something that works for you. It also goes along with the idea of a quiet luxury where it is very streamlined, simple, beautiful, functional, and it will last a very long time. In my eyes, that's what luxury is all about. That's one other way that you can minimize the things that you own, because if you have one super quality piece that you can use all the time, then you don't need to have 10 different types of that thing just for different occasions and different outfits. It's really not necessary. That's another way that you can always think about, is this product made of high quality? Is it going to last me a long time? If it's not, do I want it for some other reason? And what is that reason? If you have a valid reason, by all means, go ahead and buy it. If it's something that you just need that's cheap, like I went to a concert and I had to buy a cheap clear bag off of Amazon because I'm not going to be using it every day. I'm going to be using it maybe once a year year, if at that. So it's okay to me if it doesn't last, if it breaks after some uses. But if it's something that you need constantly, try to choose things that are really going to be of high value, even if you have to put up a little bit more to begin with as far as price. The seventh way that I would minimize, and this goes along with quality, is really focusing on how you spend your precious time. Especially mothers, we get all of the birthday invitations, party invitations, this thing at school, that thing at school. We have so many events and tasks and appointments and things to keep track of that it's hard to even remember, oh, we have to make our own doctor's appointment. And our weekends fill up quickly because we may be working all week, and then you are finding yourself running from place to place in the 2 days that you have off. So I have long since decided that I'm not going to say yes to every invitation that comes my way. If it's something that's very important, or if it's a family event, obviously I'm going to say yes. Those are valuable ways to spend our time as a family together. But if it's something that you get the invitation and your initial response may be, I don't really want to go, or this is not something that I really want to sign up for, it's perfectly okay to say no, and it's perfectly okay not to give anybody any excuse. If you can't make it, a polite declining of the invitation and saying hopefully next time is perfectly fine. And I think a lot of times people feel guilty about that, but truly there's nothing to feel guilty about. Your time is your time. It is precious. You don't know how much time there is, honestly. So you want to spend it as best as you possibly can, whatever that might mean for you. The eighth way that I have tried to incorporate minimalism into my life is to keep a clutter-free, quiet home life as far as what is taking up space, physical space in my house. I find this to be very challenging at this time in my life, obviously because I have young children. There are always toys and clothes and lots of papers and crayons and everything else all over the place. But that's okay. I mean, that's the season of life that you're in. Again, it's not about being picture perfect or showing the world that you are creating a beautiful minimalist landscape inside your house, even if you have young children. The point is really for yourself. What makes you feel calm at home? For me, calmness means having clutter-free countertops and tabletops, making sure things are folded up, making sure they're in the right location where if I'm going to look for it, I know where to go find it. That is a constant effort. It is a scientific concept of entropy, that things will naturally fall into a chaotic and disorderly state. So it does take work and energy to keep everything in line. That is the fulfilling and rewarding part of having your own home and keeping it clutter-free and clean. That way you can enjoy the space that you live in without feeling like everything is a disaster every time you walk in the house. The ninth way to incorporate minimalism into your life is to practice mindful consumption. So mindful consumption of things that you buy. I have long since given up on shopping for pleasure. If I'm stressed out, going out shopping is not really something that makes me feel de-stressed. I tend to feel a little bit overwhelmed when there's a lot of items and things around me that I have to sort through, and I don't know if it's really something I need or want. That's one reason why holiday shopping stresses me out so much, and I do not like it, because for me personally, I don't really enjoy consuming things for the sake of consumption. This also goes for the media and the news. This is very hard because I am on social media, setting myself limits on how much time I spend on Instagram, for example. I do make a strong effort to stick to that limit, but I find that the more you are looped into never-ending data and never-ending information, it drags you down. And there comes a point where you can only consume so much. And yes, some of the information we absolutely should be aware of and know what's going on in the world around us, but overload of that information 24/7 truly can be paralyzing. And if you feel that you're getting to that point, it is perfectly okay to say, I'm going to shut this off, I'm going to take a break, I'm going to step away, whether that might be for 24 hours, or in my case, I went off of all social media for a year and a half before I came back on. Take the time that you feel is good for your mental health, because there's nothing more important than your mental health in order to survive and cope in this life that we have. Be mindful of what you're consuming and how much you're consuming, and whether what you're consuming is actually bearing positive fruit or not in your life or the life of others. The 10th way that I would incorporate minimalism into my life is to reduce paper waste. Anytime anytime I am at the grocery store and I'm faced with whether I need a paper receipt, I'll tend to say no if I can get it digitally. If I buy an appliance and it comes with a manual, you don't need to keep those manuals. You know, you can always find those online now. If something breaks down and you don't know how to fix it, YouTube is one of the best resources to go and find exactly what your product is and what the problem is you're having, and I guarantee it, there will be a video out there on how you can address or fix that problem. Other examples are books. I am an avid reader. I love books. That doesn't mean that I buy books for the sake of owning them. I have had to move many times in my life ever since I started college. Believe me, lugging along boxes of heavy books that weigh a ton is no fun. If you can donate or get rid of books that somebody else could use, or see if your local library could use them, sorting through the books that you have and deciding, okay, which ones do I really want to keep? Which ones are very super meaningful to me? I have a number of books that I have here that I know I want my kids to read when they're older, so I'm holding on to them. You don't have to own every single book that you read. So if it's something that you can borrow, or you can do an ebook, Audible, or some kind of other audiobook, try to do that instead, because it's not the physical book that is important, it's the experience of having read that story or read that information. Same goes for magazines and subscriptions. I prefer to just have the electronic version because I find that you get these journals in the mail and they just kind of stack up and then they go in the recycling anyway. And it's kind of a huge waste of paper. If you can opt for just the digital version, if you really need to print it, you can print it and read it. Those are always better option than having the subscription come to your house every week or every month. And another way to reduce paper products and paper waste is through your journals or notebooks for to-do lists. There are so many apps or digital formats, calendars, for example, that you can do on your phone or your computer that help you track them wherever you go. That being said, a lot of people do enjoy that physical process of writing things down. So if that's good for you, obviously continue to do that. But if it's something that is more cumbersome and you just find that you're just stacking up all these empty journals, perhaps it's time to get rid of them and figure out a different way to jot down the notes that you need to take. The 11th way that I try to minimize clutter and material possessions in my house is around holidays. I am not someone who grew up with a lot of holiday celebrations or decor. Being the child of an immigrant family, right, you kind of focus on surviving and not so much all of the fluff and hoopla of the holidays and the consumerism of the holidays, to be honest. It's something that it's a big struggle for me because I want my kids to experience the magic of the holidays, but at the same time understand that those items and things are not necessary to create the feeling of family and togetherness during those important life times. I'm not someone who owns a lot of decor in general, but certainly not around the holidays either. So I find that if I am buying some type of decor, I really think about, okay, is this something that I really need or want, or is this something for the kids? Last year we kind of splurged on Christmas lights, and I think that was really worth it. It just brings a lot of joy when you drive up to your house and you have all these lights and it's nice for the children. If I didn't have kids, would I be doing that? Probably not. Is it something that brings yourself and your family joy? If it is, of course, keep doing it. But if it's not, if it's added stress to have to do all that, then maybe rethink, do I need to do all this, or can I celebrate in a different way? I hope these 11 methods of incorporating minimalism into your life have been helpful. And if you have other ways that you incorporate into your life, I would so love to hear about them. I'm always looking to learn exciting ways to practice minimalism. That doesn't mean living in a tiny house with no furniture. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'd love to see you in the next video. Take care.